Today is National Coming Out Day, celebrated each year on this day to mark the anniversary of the 1987 National March on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. Since that day over 30 years ago, generations of progress have been made for LGBTQ Americans, many of them gained through a series of Supreme Court wins. However, as Senate Republicans prepare to confirm Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the nation's highest court, there are new fears that those protections could be rolled back. Judge Barrett's nomination last month sounded alarms for gay rights activists, given how closely she aligns ideologically with her late mentor, conservative Justice Antonin Scalia, and her past remarks that laws on marriage equality should be left to state legislators, not the federal courts. Those alarm bells grew louder this week after two of the court's conservative justices, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito, mounted a fresh attack on the landmark 2015 decision legalizing same-sex marriage, saying it left, quote, those with religious objections in the lurch, and that the court has created a problem only it can fix. That opportunity will come this upcoming term when the court will hear arguments on a case deciding whether government employees with a religious objection to LGBTQ people have the constitutional right to discriminate against them. Joining me now is Allison and Leanne Mertzman and Steve and Rob Anderson McLean. Thank you all so much for being here. Allison, Leanne, I want to get your reaction to that opinion this week from Justices Thomas and Alito.
Yeah, as a lawyer, I was very concerned and alarmed, as you said. As a mom and as a gay woman in America, I'm terrified. I think it reminded a lot of people that we have made a lot of progress, but there is still so much to go. So much progress can be made, and so easily so many of our rights can be taken away.
Stephen, Rob, that concern goes beyond recognizing same-sex marriage. You've adopted 6 siblings. What's your biggest concern about how this could impact your family?
Well, without the protections that are afforded by legalized marriage, things like hospital visitation, medical insurance, tax filing, all of the things are impacted by having the ability to be legally married in this country. So, it could affect our family in great ways, in addition to the future of just us, having this opportunity to adopt these great children. We want future generations to have the same right and ability to do what we've done, to be legally married and to adopt as we have.
Allison, what do you wish you could tell Judge Amy Coney Barrett if you could speak to her directly?
It's so hard just being gay in this country, and the fact that they will think about taking away our rights or that our rights won't cross into other states is really scary, and we should be able to be protected. Our kids should be able to be protected. Our kids shouldn't be afraid to visit their grandparents. They shouldn't be afraid to visit their aunts and uncles. They live all across this country, and if we are only legally married in one state, what are we going to do?
It's scary just having to think about having to tell our children that we wouldn't be married somewhere else if we were to go on vacation, like you said, go see our parents in Texas or whatever. Just the idea that we would have to explain to our children that their parents' marriage isn't recognized everywhere is just incredibly heartbreaking.
Stephen, Rob, is that a conversation that you've anticipated having with your own kids?
Well, absolutely, because, we tell them that rights are not guaranteed. I lived as an unequal citizen until the Obergefell ruling in 2015. For 44 years of my life, I wasn't able to be legally married in this country. And that ruling changed, obviously that. But at the same time, most of my adult life, I had not had the same equal rights as other American citizens have. So we can't take that for granted and think it could change. And obviously, the things that rumblings we've heard is that could be a possibility, and I am worried and concerned about it.
Yeah, and the scary thing is that our children have the stability now. They were in the foster care system with no stability. They have that now. They have a life. They have a family. For them to even have to be worried in any way that could change, or for them themselves, that anything could be taken away from them now that they finally have the stability and the love of a family, just like any other family. Doesn't matter. does not matter. We are a family. We should be recognized as a family, just like any other.
Liam, part of the reason that we're having this conversation now and why these rights are potentially in limbo is because lawmakers have allowed courts to set the standard. So when you go through an experience like this, does it make you believe that Congress should start codifying these rights?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that this is evidence of the fact that all of the systems of government are supposed to be a check on them, on each other. But we've seen with the Trump administration putting in conservative judges. We had in the Obergefell decision, it was a 5-4 majority. One of those justices has already been replaced by a more conservative successor, and now we're looking at another one. So very quickly, it's a 6-3 ruling against us. And so it's a very, very scary time to be alive. And I think that for gay people in this country, and I think that Congress should definitely start enacting some rulings protecting us on a more broad basis so that there is this stability like they were speaking of. And so we don't have to worry that our marriage isn't going to be viewed as invalid when we leave state lines.
Because Stephen, Rob, let's be clear, it's not about any single justice, right? It's about the possibility that any new justice could be added, that it would tip the balance of the court, that there would be cases that find, their way to the court that begin to chip away at these rights. And to your point, that creates an instability not only in this moment, but a long-term instability in the family structure.
Definitely. Not to get off subject, but there are so many kids in the foster care system. And if any future rulings could change any number of thousands of lives, other couples that wish to adopt, not being able to, or not having the right as a couple to supply homes for these kids. There's 400,000 kids in the foster care system. There's 125,000 kids that are waiting for adoptive permanent homes. Any kind of ruling that would change any possibility for those kids to have a home, it's something very scary.
It's not doing a service to families, it's not doing a service to the children, and it's not doing a service to our greater society.
I thank you for bringing that up. I don't think it's off topic at all. I think it's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, Allison, 5 years ago, every marriage in every state became equal under the law. Couples have long been denied the right to marry, could finally marry. Did you ever think, or have you thought about what you will do if a conservative-leaning court decided to reverse your legal protections?
I mean, we're already looking into second parent adoption, which seems like such a ridiculous concept that you would have to adopt your own children, and yet here we are. I mean, I remember in June of 2015, I was 20 weeks pregnant with our oldest daughter, and we got a text from a friend who was like, isn't it amazing that your daughter is never going to have to grow up in a world where her parents weren't married? And yet, here we are, facing it again.
Stephen, Rob, I can't let it go unmentioned that it is National Coming Out Day. Can you just talk a little bit about the arc of history that takes us, from the beginning of this fight to where we find ourselves today?
Wow, the history for us personally, I'm someone that basically hid who I was for 30 years. I was 30 years old when I came out, and I was truly able to be myself. So each ruling since then has been a personal ruling for me. And I guess.
Right. I came out when I was 18, and there were certainly growing up, in a different world than we have today. We have made vast improvements. We just need to make sure that we're continuing to move in the same direction. But growing up, there were career choices that I made knowing that it's, that because I ruled out because I was a gay man. I knew that there were things that I probably couldn't pursue because of my sexuality. I would never thought when I was growing up in my early 20s, I never thought that I would have the opportunity to have children and adopt, as a gay male or get married. So we've made great progress. We just need to continue the fight and to be vigilant and to vote in our best interest, the things that are important to us.
Yeah, and it's very important to us too because we have an LGBTQ son, one of our own children. We hope that he is able to marry. We hope that he can someday adopt if he chooses to. So it isn't just for us, it's for the future, for every child out there that feels like they might be a little different or that they don't fit into the common mold that society has created.
Allison, Leanne, Steve, and Rob, thank you all so much for joining us today.